Hi there, my name's Lucy Taylor and I run the Community Land Advisory Service in Wales for social farms and gardens. We are funded by Welsh Government Landscape and Countryside Division and have been since 2018. We now have guaranteed funding till 2025 and possibly for a further 3 years after that. We are funded to increase access to land for all community-led green space projects. A large amount of those projects that we support and offer advice to are very much around community food growing, allotments, community supported agriculture, orchards, food hubs, and community growing of all kinds, really. This is a slide showing all the programmes that we're currently running throughout Wales at the moment. We do tend to run a number of projects side by side with staff working throughout Wales alongside field workers. Obviously there's the Community Land Advisory Service programme, which I run with Katie Trent and some other staff, core members of staff in Wales. But and I'll be talking to you mainly about that today, but I will touch on the Resilient Green Spaces programme, which is the biggest programme that we're running in Wales at the moment to June 2023. So a bit of a flavour here of the types of projects that we've supported in recent times with one-to-one support. The first picture is a picture of a community garden at Pentref Tulare in Blaenau Gwent area. We are acting as a bit of a conduit for them with the County Borough Council to make sure that they have the right type of lease arrangements in place, and also providing them some planning advice and to make sure that they've got all the necessary planning permissions. The second picture is a plan of Railway Gardens, which is an amazing project in Splot in Cardiff that's now on site, but we sort of went through quite a long period of negotiation with them, with us acting as a bit of a conduit between them and the Cardiff County Council to asset transfer a rundown ex-parkland site right in the heart of Splot, a sort of deprived area in Cardiff. It was a long battle of trying to gain sort of community asset transfer of the land, and then to gain planning permission for the various parts of the site. It's a very comprehensive site, and they are now on site, thankfully, and they've been there just over a year actually, and it's an amazing project if you get a chance to look up Railway Gardens, part of the Green Squirrel project. One of the main things that we tend to start off our support with is by providing links to our CLAS Wales resources page and the various resources that are in that area of our Social Farms and Gardens website. We help groups trying to access land and take them through the process of how you might go about doing that in terms of finding land, getting your group set up to be governed correctly before you take on land, making sure that you've sort of got a bank account in place, and knowing the difference between legally incorporated and unincorporated constituted bodies. And then things like also how you may go about negotiating with landowners, and we provide a heads of terms template document to groups to try to fill out and then pass over to the landowner, be that a public body or a private landowner, to see if they can agree to those suggested terms, how long you may want the lease or license for, who's going to be in charge of certain things like water provision, boundaries, whether sort of the tenants are going to need to apply for planning permissions, or whether that's something the landlord will take care of. And then we also provide some idea around the different types of leases and licenses. You won't find template leases on our website because they can be a bit misconstrued, so we do hold those internally so that we can work with groups who've got heads of terms documents in place and then go from there. We also offer planning advice within the CLAS Cymru service. I'm a Chartered Town Planner by trade. I've worked in local government for best part of 15 years, and we've put together some planning advice notes on what might need planning permission on our community food growing project, and how to go about gaining planning permission. And we do offer one support as well for groups who want to go about working out if they need permission, how to sort of have conversation with local planning authorities, and how to go about applying for planning permission. So every year, as part of our Welsh Government funding, we award 15 community green space projects with an award to acknowledge the hard work they've done in terms of accessing public or private land for their community green space project, so gaining a lease or a license, and then getting onto that land and starting their project up. We want to celebrate the good work that these community projects are doing. So before they gain the award, the 15 projects create a site resilience plan. And that articulates how they are aligning with the Wellbeing of Future Generation Act goals. So you can see here that a project is asked to show how it's maintaining and enhancing the biodiversity of the natural environment on their community green space project. Are they sort of providing measures that will enhance biodiversity on their site? Are they thinking about how they will enhance biodiversity going into the future? Other things we ask the group to show is as to whether they're trying to improve the soil in a healthy way, if they're also rainwater harvesting, and also what they're doing to improve the physical and mental well-being of the people that use the site and visit the site. So you can see here this example project have looked at how they may be acting in a globally responsible way. They've cited things like rainwater harvesting and composting, and the fact that they're looking to reduce, reuse and repurpose things, and that in the future they're going to look to do seed swapping events and sharing of plants and avoiding food waste. They've also started to talk about how they're being compliant with the Prosperous Wales, looking to bring young people onto the site to increase their skills, and also people with learning disabilities, and showing how volunteering can enhance their skills. They're also looking to, in the future, work with a local school to make the project more inclusive to younger people. So one of the things that we do is try to get groups to highlight how their project is compliant with things like the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act, and we do encourage groups to look at more local level policy documents like these ones here in Ceredigion, the corporate strategy, which I think has just been out to consultation, and that's a document that will show how the Ceredigion Council is looking to achieve net zero, and there will be all sorts of policy hooks and things that your community green space project will be helping the council achieve. So it's good to look at those documents and perhaps put them into some sort of business plan or action plan for your site. There will be also things like Planning Policy Wales, and the fact that most local authorities have declared climate and nature emergencies. So having worked for the Community Land Advisory Service at Social Farms and Gardens for 9 years, there's a number of things that I suppose I would say that I've learned over time, and I think one of the most important things is that your project needs to be, we would test to see that a project is representative of the community on the doorstep of that project. It's very important that these projects are community ideas, and that's how they're going to thrive going forward. The community next to the site own the project and the idea. And then we would look to also see if the group is governed in the correct way. If they're only just a constituted group, then perhaps just a short license agreement where you have shared occupation of the space with the landowner is more appropriate than a full-term sole occupation lease. We have also learned over time, I think, that where perhaps there's less ability to articulate your ideas in perhaps more deprived wards, it's really important that decision makers see the value, social and environmental values, as well as potential economic values, especially in those areas where it's more difficult for the residents to articulate what the good things they're going to be achieving. Very important for local authorities and decision makers to be proportionate, to weigh up the level of risk. We're doing some good work with Rhondda Cynon Taf Council at the moment, where they've seen that it's really important to have proportionate processes in place. If a small community project comes to them and says, we've seen a bit of grass verge over by where we live and we would like to just perhaps do some wildflower planting on it, there's no need there for the local authority to go through a full community asset transfer process. So it's just about weighing up those levels of risk and acting in a proportionate manner so that groups can get onto site as quickly as possible and start their projects up. We do act as a conduit here at Social Farms and Gardens, and we try to make it easier for groups when they're corresponding with public bodies and landowners and funding. Obviously, we've got a wealth of experience and knowledge, so it's easier for us, and we can help those groups come to terms with how they have proper, effective conversations, really. I would say that community groups and people working in local authorities, it's important to find your allies and work as a team and collaborate. Don't be afraid to collaborate with the third sector, for instance. It's also important to realise that there will be obstacles in the way. People will not want to change from the normal way of doing things, so you have to try and find your allies and work as a team. There is plenty of positive evidence out there, and that is quite a good way of getting your point across as to some of the more inspiring things that can be done with public land, and some of the projects that are really doing some great things, like this project here at Railway Gardens in Splot. So before we finish, I just wanted to touch briefly on some of the recent work that's been going on on the Resilient Green Spaces programme, which is running till June 2023, I should say. We had the third meeting of the Welsh Allotment Forum on the 10th of December. Lots of great discussion there about increasing provision in various regions of Wales. There's a Facebook group that's been launched. If you look at Welsh Allotment Forum on Facebook, you will find some discussion there around allotment provision in Wales. The Social Farms and Gardens team are looking over the next few months to award 20 sites with small financial packages of support to improve infrastructure, boost plot numbers, and make sites more accessible. So if you wish to provide an expression of interest for the National Allotment Development Team financial support, please do that via our website by the 31st of January next year. Some events coming up quickly, touching on those. December 3rd in Bangor, we've got an allotment training day. 7th of December in Bridgend, and then hopefully in Lampeter on the second week of January, where we will be discussing all things around allotments, such as finding lands, leases, licenses, planning permissions, compost toilets, water provision, improving biodiversity, bits of funding that might be available. So lots of really good information coming up in those events. And you can sign up to those and book on via the Social Farms and Gardens website. We are also doing an orchard strand of the Resilient Green Spaces programme, and after 26 applications in the summer, we're now working with 14 sites providing trees, planting and storage equipment. We're also supporting 3 additional sites with land agreements via CLAS, and sort of hoping those move swiftly to allow further planting to take place. 7 sites have requested support with processing equipment, and working our way through the variety of requests to ensure we meet both our budget lines and the needs on those sites. So yeah, lots of really useful stuff happening, and interesting stuff happening on the Resilient Green Spaces programme at the moment. So finally, I just wanted to provide the contact details if you do need some support or you want to work with us going forward. If you need some one-to-one advice, please have a look at our website. We do have an introductory form that we ask community groups to fill out, but please do jot us an email at wales@farmgarden.org.uk, and we'll seek to help you out and work with you. Thanks very much.